You bought the 6.2 for the power, and I get it. The first time you roll into the throttle and that truck squats, it feels like you finally bought the real one. But here's the problem. GM just put out recall paperwork that basically admits what a lot of owners have been whispering for months. Your 6.2 might be a ticking time bomb if it's in the wrong build window. And I'm not talking about internet panic or every engine fails eventually. I'm talking about a very specific failure chain that can go from a slight noise to a catastrophic bearing failure to an engine replacement that can hit 18 grand if you're out of warranty. And if you hear the wrong kind of tick, the deep one, the one that rises with RPM and makes you turn the radio down, that's not monitor it. That's you might already be late. Today we're breaking down the 6.2-liter V8 trap, the window sticker never warned you about. What GM is actually saying is happening inside the L87, how a tiny oiling issue can snowball into a full engine, the exact bulletin numbers and recall numbers you need to know before you walk into a service lane, and how to spot the early signs so you don't become the guy staring at an out-of-warranty quote that looks like a down payment on another truck. Because the prize here isn't winning a comment section argument. The prize is not getting financially erased by the engine you paid extra for. Let's get into it. First, let's level set what engine we're talking about. This is the 6.2-liter L87, the big dog, gas V8 in a ton of GM trucks and SUVs. Silverado, Sierra, Tahoe, Yukon, Escalade, the one people specifically choose because they want effortless power, towing confidence, and that I don't have to work this thing hard feeling. And that's what makes this whole situation so brutal. Because the trap is psychological. You buy the 6.2 to avoid stress. Then the engine becomes the stress. Now here's the villain, and I'm going to say it as plainly as possible. The villain is an oiling bearing failure chain that can start small, but ends big. And the reason it ends big is because bearings are not forgiving. In your engine, the crankshaft and connecting rods are basically spinning on a thin film of pressurized oil. That oil film is the difference between millions of rotations and metal on metal. If that oil film gets compromised, even briefly, the bearing can start to wear. Once a bearing starts to wear, it throws metal into the oil. Once you've got metal in the oil, you don't just have a bearing problem, you have an everything the oil touches problem. That's why these failures don't stay cheap. They don't stay contained, they spread, and that's where the $18,000 nightmare comes from. So what did GM expose here? This is the part that matters. GM's recall documentation isn't vague. It points to manufacturing quality issues that can lead to internal engine damage. Things like debris contamination where it shouldn't be, and crankshaft/rod-related problems that can contribute to bearing failure. Translation: if the wrong engine parts came out of the wrong process at the wrong time, the damage doesn't show up on day one. It shows up later, when you're at 20,000, 40,000, 70,000 miles, and you think you're safe because the truck has been fine. That's how traps work. They don't bite you immediately. They wait until you relax. And that's also why the recall matters so much. It's basically GM saying, yeah, we've seen enough of these failures to put it on paper. Now let's talk symptoms, because this is where you either win or you get wrecked. GM lists a bunch of warning signs that can show up before a failure. I'm going to translate them into real truck guy language. Unusual engine noises, check engine light, hesitation or roughness, weird shifts or reduced power. In the worst cases, loss of propulsion or a no start. And I need you to hear me on this. Not every tick is death. But bearing noises have a tone to them that's different from injector tick, different from normal direct injection chatter, different from cold start noise. A bearing noise is deeper. It feels heavier. It makes the engine sound like it's carrying a dull hammer inside it. If you've heard it, you know what I mean. And if you haven't heard it, you don't want to learn. Here's where the trap gets even nastier. A lot of people hear tick, and they immediately think lifter, because that's the famous GM conversation on other engines. But this problem is not the same conversation. We're talking about oil pressure behavior and bearing survival. And that brings us to one of the most important receipts you can walk into a dealer with. Bulletin number 24, NA173. Write that down, because it deals with an oil pressure sensor performance code, P0521, and it describes a scenario where oil pressure at hot idle can be lower than it should be, tied to an oil pump relief valve that can stick. Here's why that matters. If oil pressure is low at hot idle, you're flirting with the exact condition bearings hate most: thin oil, low pressure, high heat. Now, I'm not saying every P0521 equals a blown engine. What I'm saying is this: if you see P0521 or you see warnings about oil pressure and your truck is acting weird or making noise, you do not treat that like a "we'll look at it next month" thing. That's how you lose the engine. Now, let's talk about the number that got everyone's attention: $18,000. And I know some guys are going to say, "My buddy got one for $11,000," or "I found a used motor cheaper," or "dealer quoted $20,000." All of that can be true depending on your region, labor rate, parts availability, whether it's a crate engine, a long block, if they're replacing accessories, and how far they go with programming and calibration. But here's the real reason the number is so dangerous. It's not just the engine, it's everything around it. It's diagnostic time, teardown time, the tech's hours, the shop's markup, fluids, filters, gaskets, sometimes mounts, sometimes additional parts they discover once it's open. And if your truck is your life, your work, your commute, your tow rig, you're also paying the invisible tax: towing, rental, downtime, missed work, and that panic decision where you accept the first number because you need the truck back. That's how people get financially cornered. Let me show you what this looks like in the real world. A typical engine failure invoice doesn't say spun bearing equals $18,000. It looks more polite than that. It's line items. It's 1,000 little cuts. It starts with something like customer states, ticking, knocking noise, reduced power. Then, verify concern, road test, check codes. Then, perform oil pressure test. Then, remove oil filter, inspect for debris. Then the nightmare phrase, metal found in oil. Once that phrase exists in writing, your odds of cheap fix basically die. Now they're quoting, engine replacement recommended. And the invoice starts stacking. Engine assembly, labor hours that make your stomach turn, oil, coolant, filter, gaskets, programming or relearn procedures, sometimes a new oil cap or updated oil spec depending on the recall pathway. And you stare at the bottom line thinking, I bought the 6.2 to get the best one, and now it's the one trying to bankrupt me. That's why this story is exploding. Now let's get strategic, because this is where you can actually protect yourself. The trap isn't having a 6.2. The trap is being passive. If you're proactive, you can often avoid the out-of-warranty ambush. Here's the playbook. Step 1, check your recall status. The recall number you're looking for is 25 V-274. If your truck is in the affected population, don't wait for the perfect time. Get it documented. And documented is the key word. Because if something does happen later, the difference between GM helping you and GM ghosting you is often paperwork and timing. Step 2, treat symptoms like a stopwatch. If you get a check engine light, performance weirdness, or any oil pressure related warning, you want that service visit on record early, even if it goes away, especially if it goes away. Because intermittent issues are how people get brushed off until it becomes catastrophic. Step 3, scan for codes, specifically P0521. Again, not because it guarantees you'll lose an engine, because it's a clue that the oil pressure story might be part of your truck's situation. And the bulletin number to reference is 24-NA-173. If you walk in and you say, it's running weird, you'll get treated like background noise. If you walk in and you say, I have P0521 history, I want a mechanical oil pressure test at hot idle, and I want this documented under bulletin 24-NA-173. You sound like someone who can't be dismissed. That matters. Step 4, insist on a mechanical oil pressure test if there's any oil pressure concern. Not a glance at a sensor, not a shrug, a real test. Because one of the nastiest parts of this whole situation is that some trucks can feel fine until they aren't. Bearings don't send you a polite email, they just die. Step 5, oil change behavior matters more than ever. If you're the guy stretching intervals, running it low, ignoring the level, or abusing it hot, you're stacking risk on top of a known risk window. I'm not blaming owners for manufacturing issues. I'm saying, don't give the engine an excuse. If you're in the affected population, you want clean oil, correct spec, correct level, and documented service. Because if you ever need Goodwill help, I maintained it hits harder when you can prove it. Now here's the part nobody wants to talk about. the 5-year money math. Because the engine trap isn't just the repair bill, it's the risk exposure. Let's do it the same way we did the RAM video. No fluff, just reality. If you're driving 15,000 miles a year, 5 years is 75,000 miles. Most people assume the risk is basically zero because it's a GM V8, it'll go 200K. And that's usually true when the build is clean. But in a recall situation, you're not betting on usually. You're betting on whether your specific engine is one of the unlucky ones. Now compare two worlds. World A, your 6.2 runs clean. You pay normal maintenance and you enjoy the power. You win. World B, your 6.2 develops a bearing problem out of warranty. Now your extra money for the 6.2 becomes a rounding error compared to what you're facing. Even if you found a cheaper path than 18 grand, even if you found a used engine, even if you got a deal, you're still dealing with a multi-thousand-dollar event that most people aren't ready for. That's why I call it a trap. It's not that it always happens. It's that when it does, it's not a bad day. It's a financial crisis. So what's the real prize here? It's not panic selling your truck. It's not boycotting GM. It's this: avoiding the out-of-warranty nightmare by catching symptoms early, getting documentation early, and forcing the right tests while the truck still has options. Because once the bearing spins, the conversation changes. Before, we should inspect. After, we recommend engine replacement. And those are two very different bills. Now let's land this plane with the question that decides whether you're safe. Are you treating your 6.2 like an invincible dinosaur V8? Or are you treating it like a high-output engine that needs you to pay attention? Because right now, the smartest 6.2 owners are doing three things. They're checking recall status, they're documenting anything suspicious immediately, and they're not ignoring oil pressure codes or deep ticking noises. If you do those three things, you massively reduce your odds of getting blindsided. If you don't, you're gambling. And the house edge is $18,000. If this video helped you, hit subscribe, because next week I'm doing the dealer survival guide for this exact problem. What to say, what to request, and how to make sure the service lane doesn't hand wave you out the door. And drop your details in the comments. What truck you've got, your mileage, whether you've ever seen P0521, and whether you've heard any weird tick or knock. Let's crowdsource the truth and keep the next guy from getting burned by the engine he paid extra for.